my measure, The Well is absolutely an episode for repeat viewing by calculated intention. Aired in the sunny summer, but for optimal experience should be viewed in a darkened room. We open with the Doctor getting touchy-feely like it's second nature. 50,000 years in the future, and time for the Now Who staple, the costume change.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling? A guy like you should wear a warning. It's dangerous, I'm falling.
On this episode, we have Amanda Brocci, Australian director, writer, producer, and also linguist by PhD. Her previous Doctor Who credit was Lux, just one episode ago. With RTD, it's co-written by Sharma Angel Walthall, who's written for Dreamlands and Hollyoaks and appeared as an actor in a 2018 episode of Corey, just so you know.
Jump, now. Jump, now.
Look at my misshapen way. I don't care for Doctor Who like a 12-year-old looking for a show I watched when I was 12. Assembling the pieces, scrying and crying, whether it's spewing bile or bulk amounts of filler. Doctor Who Tube is a dumpster fire, and this is its dumpster flower. We get a lovely nautical resonance from the opening shot of a lit crater, and platoon leader Shea Stallion, played by Quillan Dunn, best known for playing Lizzie in Love Hate, and Jackie Walsh in investment banker drama Industry. 35 colonists lost in a mining base with insufferable galvanic radiation.
Oh, I'm just not loving the look, babes. I come in peace.
It's not appropriate to call me babes.
Okay, hon.
It's not appropriate. It's a bit of trolling. Can you take it? The intruders have broken all the mirrors, a suggestion there may be a vampire in the mix. And there's another use of a deaf and signing actress, because by her presence we're taught parts of a new language, a visual language. It's diversity hiring and representation giving its very reasons for being. And look at the tight contrast in policing. Deaf and disabled, it's a broad analogy. She can read subtitles beside the barrel of a gun, or Ncuti can sign to her with his musician's fingers. While it's a bit expository, the writers kick the "no migrants speaking foreign" pack in the shins as sign language is discussed.
A nurse who can't sign. That's against the law.
This is British Sign Language. You may know American Sign Language is quite different, and you might be surprised to learn every country has its own signing vocabulary. No one is quite sure how many sign languages there are. Some estimates say 150, some say 200, and the most used global sign language is Indo-Pakistani. It's complicated because even in BSL, which is used in Australia and Ireland, there are regional dialects. A Scottish signer will have different signing to that of English signers. So, depending on where you're watching this, you may get a shoddy translation. The episode has a signer consultant on board, and it's probable the production tried to steer close to a centrist or universal presentation. The integration of subtitles into the mise-en-scene does help those of us without fluency. Sign language is not only used by those who have hearing problems, but those who have difficulty speaking. So I'm a little amused by the soapbox that it's against the law to practice nursing without signing in the 50,000th century. It's not as optimistic as it first appears because legality doesn't necessarily include societal norms as common practice. It is a conceivable aspiration. Present-day technologies you would think could easily adapt to visual translators serving as a kind of Duolingo of gestures. The video phone, when introduced way back at the 1964 New York World Fair, was demonstrated by two signers on introduction. Machine translation of sign language has been possible since 1977, though the use of the full body in the vocabulary brings with it limitations. Sign Aloud, in use since 2015, has translated sign to text via Bluetooth and optical sensors on the fingers of these magic gloves. And Wikipedia lists half a dozen examples of services used on a large scale. The website of Visicast, run by the University of East Anglia, states automated text to sign is not yet available due to issues around grammar. Subtitling is, with a bit of practice and access to transcription tools, relatively doable for the common man, woman. I hope to add subtitles to this video shortly, directly from my script. Medicine has moved on in 48,000 years. Belinda's out of her depth. No one remembers Earth, which presents the intriguing idea these tales are happening within a parallel timeline after whatever happens in the legendary series finale on May 24th, 2025. I really like what Quaylen Dunn achieves as a CEO. Her striking looks lead to expressions which give off a no-nonsense stature. And she's from Ireland. Have you ever heard of Ireland, Doctor Who?
An old what thing?
Never heard of him.
Stupid name for a planet.
What's that then?
Not on these parts.
I never heard of you.
Oh, you must have. No, not Iceland. Star Trek has heard of it. Forget that. What about Northern Ireland?
Lots of planets have a north.
Look, it's not a planet. Northern Ireland. Michael Smiley's from there. David Tennant's gran. Robana 2's mum. Well, they built the Titanic. No, not that one.
Gallagher.
Is that in Ireland?
Dalek's at Giant's Causeway.
Have you ever heard of
This mine contains Murray gold. The scene with the slither of light behind Allis, which there definitely wasn't, there was nothing there, manages to convey a tension that's all too realist. It also feels like the finale of Reservoir Dogs, one shooting triggering another at any given moment. Galvanic radiation, an extonic star, carbon-46 and a diamond mine. If you've picked up on the clues or been kicked to the ground by spoilers, you'll realise this episode is a sequel.
It was called Midnight.
What does it mean?
And if you think spoiling an episode is your headline or your audience is people who already know what you have to tell them, then you've a lot to learn. According to Wikipedia, this wasn't originally going to be the Midnight entity in the story. In the planning stages, it was about the followers of the goddess Orisha, until it was deemed too impractical in story terms and too problematic in terms of cultural sensitivity and respect. Funnily enough, the link to Orisha was something I threw out there before seeing this episode as a surreal joke in my reviewed looks. Obas, from Orisha, from Oba, the Latin American deity associated with cutting off an ear. With parrot tail feathers, she fights on the left. So pleasant washroom alignment, clean voodoo god. Midnight 2, subterranean boogaloo. And very quickly we reinterpret a lot of things. The pack hostility isolating Allis, using her best friend against her, targeting her in the pecking order as the weakest, and that RTD and Angel Wildfall haven't deployed the repeating speech motif of the entity, which I think gives it an accomplished subtlety. From Midnight, the well raises the stakes, and an attribute speaking to why Allis is the last to be prey. And ignoring that sign, if you will, makes it more ambitious. It fosters paranoia, organic panic. It's a really clever script that sets up pieces with stealth. The Marines turn on one another as expected, and there's predictability of the best kind in the anticipated massacre. Proof positive you're less safe with people wielding guns than those with sunglasses and tanning lotion. Even while the squad are wiped out in the style of a Predator movie, the dispatch of the lead mutineer by directly weaponising Allis feels quite shocking. 15 seconds of silence followed, a minute's quiet that descends into heartbreak around Allis.
But we can't abandon her.
That's not what I said.
Don't turn your back on me.
The line works as the plea of a condemned person and one whose primary listening mode is lip reading. There's a whole spectrum of audio impairment, deafness to cognitive neurodiversity. I often have problems following someone in a crowded room if they talk while turning their heads away, and would imagine it's a common problem among the elderly. This might be a good place to take a tangent to explore how the massacre scene works on another level. Yes, it's not only deep horror, it's also quite fun when you think about it as a scenario that can easily be adapted into a child's game. Don't stand behind Allis, with the mutineer designating chasing other players behind Allis or the host. Other players would be designated ranks from captain down, with only the captain being able to give Allis the host the order to reposition herself, and the game ends when the mutineer is defeated. Because games are a motif of New Who, child-friendly catchphrases offer fertile ground for performative role-play.
My arm's too long.
Prepares a schoolyard mystery game like Button Who's Got the Button. The presence of the toy maker is blatant in RTD's use of a gaming agenda, ending in a round of catch to save the universe, with multiple participants being able to play as a doctor. The church on Ruby Road is Capture the Flag, Baby. Space Babies is your typical monster chase, which a University of Melbourne paper calls Doctor Who game. Banned by the teachers, the game gained a taboo charm and was played in secret. It's a variation on Chasey, and the Melbourne case study had elements of morphic roleplay. The Devil's Cord offers an audio take on hide and seek. Boom is, of course, statues, a variation on Wink Murder. This all comes from the show's roots as children's TV, as well as Russell T Davies' roots working professionally in that area. 73 yards with some adaptation as to distance can be reasonably adapted for schoolyard play. Dot and Bubble is better known as Dickhead on X. That's a child's favourite. We've got play from the families of dress-up games and farmyard games. There's a jump scare, which is not unlike the pivotal moment in What's the Time, Mr. Bad Wolf. Gameplay, be it The Floor is Lava, British Bulldog, Tag or Octopus Tag, Robot Wars, or Trying Not to Make Someone Laugh, each episode carries an appeal to interactivity. Also creative story design, because games are mimetic, ensuring that absolutely no one could scientifically accuse a show of falling ratings. Rose Ayling-Ellis is absolutely phenomenal as Alice. She's essentially a one-note character, a scared, whiny trope, but Ayling-Ellis sustains that, keeping our understanding, hitting the right vocal tones to pluck heartstrings, using physicality to demonstrate the sheer terror that she's in. And we love her, yet there's no guarantee she'll get out of this. The Doctor's face-off with the entity is gripping, re-leveling.
Onion! Onion! I just saw it! Onion!
You can't stop!
I want to see it.
The Doc is all plots and plans and pride, glamour from the murderer, other than punishment for the villain. We don't see what he sees. The episode takes RTD's big weakness, shouty exposition, and uses it to the advantage. The scene in the confined space would have been optimal place for repeating dialogue in the enclosure of 4 left standing, I'm surprised the lure was resisted. Shea's fate is too trope predictable for my liking, and that it's at her own hands is also a step too far. For me, it's the first time the episode drops a ball. That it's by her own hands seems ridiculously misguided, especially set alongside the sweeping, romantic musical score. It looks to some extent like fetishizing the S word, the mortal sin. At the least, we're acknowledging the existence of the problem, but with nothing helpful to say on the matter.
We're up here all of a sudden on the roof for no reason at all. That's Torchwood, Gwen.
Though it's suggested in the closure that Shea's final act was relatively useless. If they needed Dobson's advertising of cameo, she's raking it in. The prevailing fan theory is she's a god of stories. I find that idea memorable. It fits in with a lot of how she acts and what she says. It doesn't tell us why she appears to be stalking the Doctor. Is she Helen A? Barbara? Let us know below. Next time on Doccerooo. Potential for drink fall. Pheromone sandwiches. The return of Mad Jack. Salt to Snail. It's Ruby Sunday's greatest hits. Thank you to all my patrons who helped make all this possible. My Patreon doesn't just give advanced looks, but an organised 8-year archive of comics, poems and prose. And you can only pay on the first of the month, so you can try before you buy. What did you think of this episode? Are my pointed opinions about how the conclusion deals with harm by self justified? What did you think? And can you see any other use of children's games in Doctor Who, new and old? Who is Mrs. Flood? Let me know in the comments. And do hit that thumbs up button.